Welcome to the Active Marketer Podcast, where we talk about how to design, automate, and scale your business to the next level using sales and marketing automation. You can find out all the tips, tactics, and techniques you need to get more customers and sell more stuff over at theactivemarketer.com. Now, here's your host, Barry Moore.
Welcome to the Active Marketer Podcast, the podcast that's all about sales funnels and marketing automation. I'm your host, Barry Moore, and this is episode 50, the big 50. Pretty exciting. Got 50 of these episodes in the can, and I hope you'll be getting a ton of value out of them. That's what we're trying to do with the podcast. We're trying to give you some actionable tips and tactics you can take away and put in your business and hit some home runs in your business every single week. So this week, for episode 50, we're going to take a little bit of a different tack. And instead of talking about the front end marketing automation and your email marketing automation, your sales funnels, we're going to talk about how to automate the back end of your business. So your project management, your service delivery, your CRM, all the things that go into actually delivering your product or service to your customer. So I've been using a system called Podio for a few months now, and I am just finding it fantastic. It does so many great things to automate the workflow in the back of the agency so we can deliver products and services to our customers. And I think it's such a great, valuable tool in automating your business. I really wanted to dedicate an episode just to Podio and how you can automate the business flows and the workflows that go on behind the scenes in your business. So this week we've got Scott Gellatly from Bolo Empire in to talk about how you can automate workflow with Podio. Now be sure you stick around to the end of the episode. I got a very special offer for you podcast fans who have been with us for a while. I want to give you a special offer about a new project I'm really excited about. So please stick around to the end to get all the details about a great, exciting upcoming project here at The Active Marketer. But for now, let's get into episode 50, all about automating workflow with Podio. I would like to welcome to the show Scott Gellatly from Bolo Empire. Welcome, Scott.
Thanks, Barry. Nice to see you, mate.
Thanks for joining us today. For those listeners who might not be familiar with Podio, I've been using it a bit in the back end of my business, and I really love it because you can automate your back end processes, your service delivery processes, and your customer service processes. So Scott and Bolo Empire really kind of specialize in Podio. So I thought we'd get him on to talk about how you can automate and scale your business using back end processes, not only in platforms, but with people, which we've talked about a little bit as well. So we're going to talk about Podio today and how you can use it to automate the business parts of your business, not just the marketing parts. So Scott, why use Podio in the first place?
Good question. Barry, there isn't really anything quite like it on the market. Podio is a tool that really you can, as a single platform, run your entire business from. So a lot of small businesses when they start out will actually kick off with maybe an Asana or a Basecamp and various tools that will enable their team to collaborate and do tasks. But as they grow, they tend to that list of systems they've got to use becomes quite long. They've got to somehow integrate them all together. There's duplicated data, duplicated tasks. Everybody's communicating, collaborating in different places. And there's no real, consolidated workflow across all those different tools. And what Podio allows you to do is bring a lot of those business functions onto one platform, run reports and get visibility across everything that's happening in your business, as well as run workflow from early stage sales right through to customer support, HR, and everything else in between. So it's a pretty unique product as far as what's out there today.
Yeah, when I went looking for some project management and delivery kind of tools in my business, I kind of went the normal route, the same as everybody else. I looked at Basecamp and Asana and Teamwork and all those other ones. And for every one of those, while they're decent platforms, for every one of those, there was some little thing that didn't quite work for me. And I wanted to tweak it to how we deliver stuff here. And you couldn't. You really had to, you had to kind of rigidly follow whatever process.
That's right.
Whatever process they built into the tool. Where I know one of my previous guests, Charles Valher, turned me on to Podio. And I was like, holy cow, because you can customize everything.
That's right.
you can follow the workflows that are in the apps, but you don't have to. You can customize it to however, what really works for your business, which I thought was pretty amazing. You're right. I haven't come across anything like it since.
Yeah.
So what, other than that, what really makes it different from those other ones like Asana and Teamwork and those kinds of things?
Well, I think it's not just the sheer magnitude of what it can do. Like I said, you can kind of systemize your whole business in it and run everything on the single platform. But it also has a really beautiful user experience. So it's quite easy to use. It's easy for your team to get on board and start using and start communicating together. And then, as you said, if there's anything about it that you don't like, business, right? Your business evolves, it changes over time. And having a tool that restricts that growth can be an impediment. Podio can actually grow with your business. You can constantly modify it, customize it, tweak it to suit your exact needs as your business grows.
And your business is, primarily putting this product and these processes into a business and helping them scale up. So what kind of things do you find people managing Podio within their business? Like where do they kind of start? Where do they kind of go to from there?
Well, I'm constantly surprised by what people are doing in Podio. As I said, you can literally sort of do everything. So the most common, of course, is CRM. So your sales process, your customer relationship management, and project management, and any kind of collaborative environment that you need to create. So, ensuring that your people, no matter where they're situated in the world, can communicate together and get stuff done. But I've seen everything from real estate and property management and property investing to customer support, human resources, recruitment, systemizing your culture, your strategic plan, and even all of those sort of those little operational backend things like just systemizing travel management so that your virtual team can book travel for you and just making sure they've got everything they need and there's a bit of workflow in place to make sure it happens. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I completely get it because I've been using it for a while and, I just keep putting more and more and more of my business in there. And the cool thing was you can turn off all these other systems that you might have. Like, so, Podio's got built-in chat and video conferencing, so you don't need Skype or Slack. It's got, we use it for, like I said, putting more and more in there, but everything from service delivery and timesheets all the way down to, the production of this podcast will be done using a Podio app that we've created as well. So it's very cool. So let's talk about how you get started with Podio for those people interested. I think the biggest hurdle for me when I came to it was getting my head around how it was laid out. You've got companies and then you've got workspaces and then you've got apps. So how do you find, what's the easiest way for people to get started, when you're first presenting them with them or first setting them up on Podio?
Yeah, so good question, Barry, because it has got a little bit of a learning curve to get started, and more so because it's a bit of a blank canvas. You log on to Podio and you can kind of then say, well, all right, where do I want to start my business? What do I want to systemize first? What area do I start? And Podio comes with an app library with, there's something like 200 to 300, different apps covering different industries and just about every different business function. So whenever anybody comes to us and says, how do I get started with Podio? We recommend the first thing they do is jump onto that app store and take a look at the things that they want to set up. If it's CRM and sales processes, there's stacks of CRM templates in there. If it's project management, there's heaps of those. As I said, all those different industries and business functions are all available in the App Store to get started. And then, of course, when you do want to start taking on your own app development and creating your own little processes and your own workflows, there's plenty of resources online. And in fact, we've just recently released Bolo Empire University, which is a Podio training portal that'll get you started with all the basics, get you across everything, the navigation, the way it all works, but also show you how to create your first apps and give you some advice on how to do that.
Yeah, cool. And I think, you bring up a good point. Podio's kind of, the good thing about Podio is it's kind of like a blank canvas and you can do whatever you want. But the drawback is it's a blank canvas and you can do whatever you want. So you can, I think you need some frameworks to get started. Otherwise it can be overwhelming. So as you mentioned, there's an app store there where you can download apps. So if you need a CRM app, you can just go download it yourself. But the very cool thing is, and it doesn't cost anything. But the very cool thing is, you can download this template, as you said, the CRM template, and you go, we really don't need that, but we do need this. So you can just click modify the app, boom, get rid of the fields you don't need, put in the fields you do need, and it's exactly customized to what you want. It's fantastic.
Exactly right. Use them as a framework to get started and then customize it to suit your business.
The thing I really liked about Podio, and I didn't even know it was there to begin with, was your ability to automate and create inbuilt automations for any part of the workflow that you wanted to. I think that was like, oh my God, like you can automate anything. So for example, this podcast, this episode is going to be done. And as soon as it's done, I'm going to drop it into my Podio app and I'm going to drag it into to a little stage that says the episode's been recorded. And that will automatically kick off 3 tasks for it'll just go pop, pop. Just the fact that I've dropped it into the recorded category is going to automatically fire off 3 apps, which will start some workflow with my VA behind the scenes. So just the very fact that I've saved it in there will kick off some workflow. And then when we move it from recorded to post-production, that's going to fire off 5 more tasks. So the whole workflow is really kind of automated. All I have to do is go in and check that it's going. Tasks get fired to who they need to get fired to. Chat window, little chat messages can be sent to me when it's done and ready for my review. Really powerful, crazy powerful stuff that you can build in the Podio. So once you get started, once you've built out so just quickly to give an overview to the listeners, inside Podio, there's kind of 3 levels of organization. You've got your company, right, which is your overall, and you may have multiple companies set up in Podio, but for most people, they'll probably just have one company. And then inside that company is workspaces. And those workspaces are kind of like just discrete areas where you get a certain type of task done. So that might be CRM, that might be lead flow, it might be content creation, as we're talking about podcasts. It could be customer support, could be project management, whatever. So you'll have a project manager workspace or a content creation workspace. And then inside that workspace will be any number of apps, that whatever number makes sense. So you could have a podcast creation app. We've got another app for how do we get guests on? So how do we get Scott on? That was our podcast guest app. Who do I want to get on the show? And then you can automate inside those apps. You can automate any workflow within the app, but you can also automate workflow across applications and across workspaces as well, which is really cool. So for example, when you create a new customer, somebody becomes a customer, they bought a product, that might fire up some workflow inside your project management app or your service delivery app or something like that, which is super cool. So how do you get started with the automated workflow part of the tool?
Yeah, so it's a pretty simple little structure. Thankfully, it's on any given app. You can go to the settings of that app and just create workflows and trigger workflows on a record being created or any kind of record being changed. And to take the example you just said, you might have a status field which represents your overall business process. And whenever that status changes, it tasks different people to do different things, maybe updates the progress or the probability of a deal, if that was the item that it was on, and even assign people to different roles, on that particular item. So I think really, and this sort of going back to one of your first questions here, a lot of tools out there give you a database or give you a platform that you can set something up. But without the workflow that sort of goes right across your business, you can't support all of those people that, could be virtual assistants in the Philippines or people spread across the country to work together, but actually tasking them and ensuring your process is actually being executed is really one of the most important and powerful features of Podio with its workflows.
Yeah, I find it really cool. You can, when you log into Podio, you instantly get a little status notice of what's happened while you were away, basically. So, my staff's been working on these 5 tasks and they've completed these 5 ones or they've updated this one. And you can instantly see kind of in an activity view, almost like a Facebook news feed of what's been done while you're away.
Spot on. And this is where it gets extremely powerful when you combine it with outsourcing or, whether they're people from Upwork or anywhere. You can not only sort of set up a process that you want those people to follow, but then task them to do individual activities at certain points and give them all the materials that they need to do the job. They can communicate that information back to you and you can report across it. So now you're not just sort of engaging some outsourced people and say, hey, I need you to do this and here's the task. You're actually empowering them with everything they need to do a good job and empowering yourself to keep them accountable and to see everything that's occurring in the system. To give you a quick example, Barry, I was able to go to New York exactly this time last year, in fact, and operate my whole business from my iPad while my team in the Philippines executed the work. I could just monitor and answer questions as they came up, knowing that all the tasks were being pushed out at different points as they needed to be, and anything that they did was being captured back in the system.
And I like too that it has it's got that chat app and video conferencing app built straight into it. So it's really cut down a lot on email back and forth about a particular thing. Where are we up to with this, or what's the next step for that? That can all be done inside the Podio app and with Podio chat. So one, my inbox isn't as full anymore. And two, there's a record of that conversation that's automatically attached to, whatever workspace it needed to be attached to, which makes it so much easier to catch up. And the other cool thing is the fact that Podio integrates with a bunch of other stuff. They don't just lock down their own ecosystem, they open it up as well. So for example, going back to that kind of outsourced workflow example, when I create a new podcast episode, it goes through a number of stages. It goes through planned, scheduled, recorded, post-production, review, and then promotion, like a Kanban board or like a Trello board. And it moves its way through those various stages. But instantly when I create one and when I say, all right, we're going to do this episode with Scott, and we're going to talk about Podio, and I create that item inside the app, it automatically not only notifies my VA that a couple of things need to be done, right? We need to get an episode artwork done up. We need to get a blog post created. And it also attaches the SOPs for those items straight from G Drive, right? So if that VA has any questions about how do we create a blog post, or how do we create an image, an artwork, an image for the episode, those SOPs are already attached to the item. They don't have to get out of Podio and go somewhere else. They're already right there. It's I love the fact that it talks to or interfaces with the other systems you use. And not only that, but also, it's got Zapier support as well, which makes it really able to talk to just about anything.
That's sexy, Barry. That's really sexy. I love that.
Super sexy. Because now I can, if someone's on an email chain inside ActiveCampaign, for example, and they click a particular link or whatever, that might, or they hit a checkout page, for example, they bought a product and hit the checkout thank you page. That action of them hitting the checkout thank you page can automatically zap across to Podio to set up a new customer profile inside Podio. And the setting up of that new customer profile in Podio can then in turn trigger an automated workflow for everybody to, do whatever we need to do to onboard a new customer.
Love it.
You can just go down this never ending automation loop. If you're an automation freak like me, it's just like heaven.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So what are you finding people, what kind of workflows are people automating that seem to have the biggest impact in their business?
Probably number one is sales. That's one area that we see a lot of automations, particularly for services-based industries, actually. So people that want to put some workflow around their deals or opportunities, and the kind of steps that they need to go through, starting from perhaps, lead qualification. So is this the right lead for us to chase, through to actually doing some kind of discovery or analysis, doing a proposal, and eventually closing it. So that's a pretty common workflow or a common series of steps that we might set up for a consulting services or a services-based sales CRM. But we see equally complex stuff in the way they deliver projects and in things like HR as well.
All right. So let's talk about how you actually, the nitty gritty of the automation. So I know Podio's got some built-in workflow automation, and then there's another tool that you recommend called GlobiFlow. So could you talk about kind of compare and contrast what you can do in each one of those and which one you think people should go for if they want to set up some serious automated workflows?
Yeah, sure. So Podio's native workflow, I'm not going to say it's limited, but it's reasonably simplistic. It's extremely easy to use. And it's pretty straightforward to create. It can sort of create tasks. It can comment or chat against an item. And you can sort of update and create items or records, rather, in other apps, which is all pretty cool and will handle, sort of 75% of just about every workflow use case. But we find that we often just need a little bit more horsepower. And that's when we go to a tool called Globiflow, which is a plugin to Podio, giving you really advanced automations. So, and when I say advanced automations, I mean being able to trigger on date, trigger a workflow or an automation on a date field, being able to trigger a workflow or an automation on an email coming in. It's got integration to the e-signature platform, Right Signature. So you can trigger workflows when a contract is signed. And then it's got some pretty advanced actions it can do. It can generate PDFs. It can send emails. It can produce tables or extract tables of data and put them into Microsoft Excel. It can present Podio data out onto a website. So you can actually make Podio a content management system. Think of a Podio app with a list of properties in it and then presenting those properties on a website for sale, or products. And it's got, I guess, a lot of other really neat features that enable you to get very discreet and very smart with how you trigger, filter, and execute workflows. So it's definitely a tool for real Podio ninjas. It's still not particularly hard to use, but it does have a little bit more of a learning curve than Podio's standard native workflows, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I dove in and had to play. It's pretty straightforward. Again, it's one of those things where you'll get the 60% straight off the bat without too much work. But if you want to, like you said, ninjafy yourself up to level 10 ninja, then you got to do you got to do a little bit of digging in the back.
Yeah, that's right.
So, what other kind of Podio integrations or plugins have you seen that you really like?
Yeah, there's a couple of good ones. So, as you mentioned, the fact that you've got Zapier integration means that you can hook Podio up effectively to, how many is it? It's about 300 apps in the Zapier library now. So we've hooked Podio up to proposal tools like Proposify. We've hooked it up to Xero to push contacts and even generate invoices out of Xero, as well as even hook it up to Infusionsoft, which we use for our really advanced marketing automation. They can also be hooked up to ActiveCampaign and most commonly MailChimp as well. Some of the other really cool integrations, though, that we use regularly is a product called Smart Gantt, which takes the information you've got on Podio and actually presents it out as a Gantt chart, which is really cool, obviously, for project management companies that we're used to using something like Microsoft Project that don't need all the complexity that project's got. And probably the crowning glory is Clipfolio, which is a pretty amazing dashboarding tool that can actually hook into Podio with a little bit of development wizardry as far as creating a data source and then presenting Podio data out into some pretty amazing advanced visualizations.
Yeah, I just briefly had a look at it the other day. You can even, is it Clipfolio? You can even push it out to a TV screen or something like you could.
Yeah.
So it could be kind of ops dashboard in your business somewhere up on the wall. Yeah, very cool. Very cool. And what about email? Can you integrate email with Podio? Like, can you mail from within Podio, or do you have to still do that externally?
Yeah, so using that plugin Globiflow, which also comes with a product called Globimail, part of the same company, you can actually trigger email creation from within Podio and then capture those emails, the sent emails and the received email against, let's say, a client or a contact in Podio as well. But it does still, it will actually use your email client. So if your email client already has all of the templates and signatures and everything set up as you like, you can still use that, but it'll capture the results back into Podio.
So if you got Gmail or something, you can kind of integrate the two?
Yeah. So again, using that Globimail extension, anything that you trigger or click send from within Podio will fire up Gmail and send the email through the Gmail servers, but capture the contents back against Podio.
Will they come into your inbox in Gmail as well, or just go straight into Podio?
They'll do both. They'll come into your inbox and actually copy across into Podio as well.
Very cool. I have to look into that for sure. So how does somebody get started? What's the first step if somebody thinks they might be interested in Podio? How do they get started?
Well, easy. Podio.com and sign up. And if you're already a Google user, you can just click the sign in with Google button and it'll use your Google credentials without you having to remember yet another password. Then as soon as you're presented with the Podio interface, I sort of, going back to my previous advice, recommend you get in and take a look at the default apps that it creates. It'll guide you through a process of how you want to use Podio and what apps might be right for you. And then jump into the App Store and take a look around. Start modifying things. And if you need some more advice or help, we've got a free training platform that you guys can hook straight into and get some advice and some help.
All right, Scott, thank you very much. You've shared some great and valuable information there. So if people want to reach out or learn more about Podio, you want to tell them where they can go to do that again?
Yeah, definitely. Just drop into boloempire.com.au/book, or feel free to contact me on buildmy@boloempire.com.au. And if you're interested in checking out that Bolo Empire University to get some free Podio help, it's just members.boloempire.com.au.
And we'll have all those links in the show notes. And I was actually just in there yesterday looking at your Globy Flow video. So I appreciate it.
We've just put those ones up. So Globy Flow is the new addition to the training library.
Cool. Very cool, Scott. Well, thank you very much for coming on and sharing all that information with the listeners. And we'll see you online at Bolo Empire.
Thank you very much, Barry. Good to talk to you.
All right. If you'd like any of the links mentioned in the show, or you'd like to see a little video walkthrough of how Podio works, you can check all that out on the show notes at theactivemarketer.com/50. At the beginning of the show, I mentioned a special offer, and here it is. When I started The Active Marketer, I really did it with one primary focus in mind, and that was to educate and to get sales funnels and marketing automation into the hands of every business owner who wanted to know how it worked. I think it's that powerful of a technology that everybody can benefit from putting it to use in their business. But when I started on my journey, there was really nowhere to go to learn. There was no resources. There was no kind of, marketing automation and membership community where you can go learn from people who are doing it every day, download templates, get feedback, get personal coaching, pick apart your business, put it back together, find out where the points are, where you can implement marketing automation to have the greatest impact. Really, there was none of that around when I started. It was all trial and error and kind of scratching my way through to figure out how it worked. That's why I started The Active Marketer. I think this is so great. I want to put it in the hands of everybody who wants to know how to do it. So here's what I'm doing. This year, I'm starting the Active Marketer Insiders. This will be a mentoring, coaching, mastermind community where you can join and get personalized attention for your business so that you can really put marketing automation to work forefront in your business. And you can design, automate, and scale those processes that are bringing you customers, attracting leads, and converting prospects. So here's what's going to be inside. Inside the community is going to be shared automation templates that you'll be able to just click and download straight into your Active Campaign account. Now, we're going to start out being very kind of Active Campaign focused, but we're quickly going to branch out into other platforms. A lot of the stuff we teach about funnels and funnel architecture and when to employ them and where to employ them will be generic across any kind of platform so that you can go and implement this on a platform of your choice. But in order to quickly get some quick wins on the boards, we want to share out some automations. And to do that, we're going to use Active Campaign for that. So you'll be able to come to the automation library. You'll be able to get a quick video on how this automation works, what you're going to need to tweak about it once it's into your account, what little changes you're going to have to make it work for you. You'll be able to download that. You'll get a little bit of training on how it works. You'll be able to put it straight into your business. There'll be sales funnel blueprints. These will be a breakdown of a sales funnel all the way from the traffic to the sale, to the upsell, to the cross-sell. These are blueprints you can implement straight into your business. There'll be coaching community where we do mastermind calls and we'll do hot seat calls. Well, if you want to put your hand up and get up on the hot seat, myself and the other members of the community will give you feedback on your business, feedback on your automations, feedback on your funnels. And so you'll have some really targeted advice and you can go away and implement that and improve your business. There'll be a whole community of like-minded people in there, people who are on the same journey as you. Some will be just starting to implement, some will be well down the road. So you'll have access to the other community members, you'll have access to me to ask questions, and there'll be lots of training inside as well. So not just training on Active Campaign, there'll be some advanced Active Campaign training in there, but there'll also be training on other systems and other platforms like Thrive Leads, ClickFunnels, Podio. There'll be some training on how to do SEO on your WordPress blog. So tons and tons of training in there across a number of different systems that you need to get this stuff up and running the way it should be. So here's a special offer. I want to reward those people who've been on the podcast for a while and have been inside the private Facebook group for a while. I want to reward you guys with a founding member price. Now, I haven't decided what that price is, but I guarantee it'll be the lowest price access into the community forever. This price won't be advertised to anybody. The price is never going to be this low ever, and I'm not even going to advertise it publicly. This price is for people who have been loyal to the podcast, loyal to the group, and have been with the Active Marketer since the beginning. So you'll be able to lock in a special founder price, and that price will never go up. The price of the community for other people will certainly go up over time as we pack more and more content into the community and it becomes more and more valuable. That price is going to go up, I'm assuming, quite a lot over the course of time. But you'll be locked in at your special founder rate. That's never going to change. As long as you stay a member of the community, you'll be in at that rate, grandfathered in at that price for your lifetime of your membership. So I'm pretty excited about that. What you want to do, if you're interested in being a founding member of the Active Marketer Insiders, just go to theactivemarketer.com/special offer. And on that page will be a little bit more of an explanation about the community and what's going to be in there and what it's all going to be about. And you'll be able to click on the button, put your name and email address in there and express interest. When we're ready to launch, which shouldn't be too far away, we're just putting the final touches on now. When we're ready to launch, you will get an email advising you the special price, and you'll be able to lock that special price in then, and you will be the first in the doors for the new Active Marketer Insider Sales Funnel and Marketing Automation community. I'm super excited. So head over to theactivemarketer.com/special offer and register your interest. See you next week, back on the podcast. In the meantime, get out there and design, automate, and scale your business to the next level with sales and marketing automation. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Active Marketer Podcast. You can find the show notes and all the latest marketing automation news over at theactivemarketer.com.